I gotta be honest, it's been somewhat satisfying, very satisfying, I should say, watching the train wreck that the Ron DeSantis campaign has been thus far. And of course, as is always the case, massive things can change in campaigns like this, so we could see this reality shift. But so far, it has just not been going well for Ron DeSantis. And like I said, that is really good to observe. And it's also important to note that it's not that we're excited about what the alternative might be. The two most likely choices or outcomes here in this GOP primary are Trump or DeSantis. Horrible, horrible. So there's not excitement around the primary in general about who we might get. But because of who Ron DeSantis is, the danger that he poses with his ideology and all of it, it's just great to see that it's not successful, his attempt to attain more power again thus far. And I want to talk about a few things on his campaign as of recently in this segment, starting with a Fox News anchor host confronting DeSantis on the fact that his poll numbers have just not budged really when it comes to the post-announcement period of time. He hasn't seen a big jolt of momentum now that he's in the race out there campaigning, and actually seems to be a little bit of the opposite, where as he gets out there more, as he becomes more and more known by the voters, he gets less popular, and he says something about mainstream media hating him or something.
Yeah, I think there's no greater endorsement for Ron DeSantis than not just the policies, but the execution of the policies in Florida. But I have to ask you, Governor, this. Why do you think, despite those successes so far, it hasn't been reflected in your polling for your 2024 run for president of the United States? I have several different polls here. I know you're familiar with them, the latest being from a group entitled the Beacon Center, but we have the Real Clear Politics averages as well. And while Donald Trump is above 50%, and some of these polls 60%, your numbers are somewhere between 20 and 10%, and they've stayed there for about 2 months. Why is it, in your estimation, the numbers have not reflected your success in Florida?
Well, I think if you look at the people like the corporate media, who are they going after? Who do they not want to be the nominee? They're going after me. Who's the president of Mexico attacking because he knows we'll be strong on the border and hold him accountable in the cartels? He's going after me. So I think if you look at all these people that are responsible for a lot of the ills in our society, they're targeting me as the person they don't want to see as the candidate. And so this campaign just started, but I think it's pretty clear that I'm the guy that not only can beat Biden, I'm the guy that can beat the left on all these different issues.
And that's kind of been his message. Far too much, I would venture to say, of, oh, it's because I'm great because I can destroy the other side, but the left, the average American does not have this horrible distaste for the left, and a lot of the left's policies poll really, really good. And so his general attack on wokeness and the left, and it's just not something especially that would work if he were able to get here in a general election against Joe Biden. And also if he's campaigning on the idea that he can own the libs more than anyone else, that's a hard message for the GOP base, because Trump in their mind is the best at doing that, even though it's an absurd notion that you would support Trump because he makes certain people angry. But a lot of people do that. Oh, own the libs, own the libs. And Trump is despised by a lot of people. And to pull in mainstream media when the whole narrative around Trump in the eyes of his supporters is that mainstream media has wronged him in every way imaginable, doesn't seem to contrast DeSantis in the eyes of the people he's trying to win over in a way that would be impactful, because of Trump kind of winning, I guess, on those same metrics in the eyes of those people. So we'll see how he continues to work with this. I do think, and I have another clip here from Fox News in a second, but it's fascinating. I remember maybe my first video when I started my channel way back when, and there was some speculation about if Trump ends up running again, is there anyone who could defeat him? And DeSantis had just started to be floated. And I don't think I could have predicted how politically DeSantis' lack of political talent, I guess, is the best way to put it. His skill in the arenas that you would need to be skillful to be an effective politician in a situation like this, he just doesn't have those skills. And it does seem that as he gets more and more in front of more people, he's less liked, which is a sad notion for him. And even more and more, you're seeing Fox News kind of accept the reality that his campaign is a mess like this.
And in your judgment, with the polls shifting, I mean, Vivek Ramaswamy is now, guys, 10% closing in on DeSantis. DeSantis keeps falling. Is DeSantis going to be out of the race? What's your view? Serious question.
Listen, we like the guy. We got to do an intervention. We got to tell him, you're 44 years old. You're way too early. Wait 10 years when you're in your 50s and do it. He doesn't have the campaign skills. He is, talk about failure to launch. He's just sinking. And you're right. Vivek will pass him pretty soon. And I don't think he has to drop out. He's just going to fade out.
I don't know about the Vivek Ramaswamy point, but point taken. And then I want to show you, and a little bit of setup for this, a clip of Tommy Lauren interviewing Ron DeSantis and asking him about that anti-LGBTQ ad that his campaign dropped that was just stunning and disturbing and horrible. And I would show you the ad to remind you of the context for this, but now I've had two separate videos get blocked on YouTube because I used that ad. The first one I actually played it, so that I guess makes more sense if they're claiming people for it. But the second, I didn't even play the ad. If you watch the George Santos segment I did yesterday, I think, I just skipped around different freeze frames and they still had the video blocked. Because if you have copyright ownership or whatever over a certain bit of content, you can decide on YouTube to have it demonetized, or you can share monetization, or you can just block the video altogether where the person can't even have the video public. And that's what they've been doing. Very strange. Campaign ads, wouldn't you want that played? I don't know. Maybe it's because of the commentary. But here's Tommy Lauren asking him about this ad. Even some people who were previously supportive of DeSantis, like the Log Cabin Republicans and George Santos, have been speaking out against it. And this is what he had to say.
Put out by an account linked to you. What's your response to all the backlash?
I mean, I think, identifying Donald Trump as really being a pioneer in injecting gender ideology into the mainstream, where he was having men compete against women in his beauty pageants. I think that's totally fair game, because he's now campaigning saying the opposite.
Oh my goodness, it's so dumb. Trump, he was injecting gender ideology. He was the real woke monster, if you think about it. He is a one-trick pony. Oh, you're asking about an ad that was demonizing a community as a means to attack Trump for being too supportive of a community that he's constantly demonizing? Well, guess what? Woke. Nice one, Ron. And then last thing we'll look at, again, as a reminder, the ad was supposed to be saying that Trump was too pro-LGBTQ, which, absurd. And then DeSantis is saying that he actually has been injecting gender ideology into American life or something. So pointless. So dumb. Can we have actual conversations about actual things? Okay. And then this is from New York Times. DeSantis' campaign continues to struggle to find its footing. And just one quick notable part from this as I came across it this morning. So far, Mr. DeSantis has tried to undermine his chief rival by subtly contrasting their ages, temperaments, and records on issues like the coronavirus pandemic without saying anything too unkind about the former president, whom he also never mentions by name. He also has attempted to move to the right of Mr. Trump on issues like abortion and LGBTQ rights at the same time as he argues that he is the Republican candidate best placed to attract swing voters and defeat President Biden. And that's exactly key. As he's trying to run to the right of Trump, he's also saying, but I'm the electable one who could win over the voters that Trump has turned off. But that doesn't make any sense when you're trying to out-Trump Trump and out-right-wing Trump, because if you got to a general, how on earth would you then appeal to swing voters? Especially because, as we just talked about, he's a one-trick pony. The general electorate, you're not going to win an election by just going woke, 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 gender ideology, gender ideology, gender. It's not something that will win over enough people to win a national election. Now, sure, constantly Republicans maybe will include those things along with other talking points and policy positions, but DeSantis, it just seems to be all he can talk about, and I don't see how that wins a national election. Funny enough, the betting markets are reflecting this. Gavin Newsom is right now more likely, according to people betting on this, to become the president than Ron DeSantis. And Gavin Newsom isn't running and has said he's not going to run against Biden time and time again. So that's the state of the Ron DeSantis campaign, and I am totally okay with it.